So the Kill Team Balanced Dataslate has finally dropped. All the issues with the game have been addressed or not addressed, and we're going to go through all the changes and let you know what we think.
Dressed or not dressed?
Yeah. First I want to say I'm pretty excited about the state of the game. I think that this Balanced Dataslate took forever to get here, but it's finally here, and I do think there's a lot of good changes in here. And
there's some data and no slates.
No slate, yeah. But there is balance, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get into the teams, which are kind of like the big headline here, let's talk about the core rules changes and the universal equipment changes.
All right.
So for everything here, like we're not going to do an exhaustive list of all the changes because there's just too much. Go to the website. We'll have the link below and check it out for yourself. But I think the most kind of meaningful core rules change is how they've handled the third floor of the Volcus terrain, or second floor, or whatever you want to think about.
I guess it just means you can charge people with big bases up there.
Yeah, and it also means you can't body block it anymore.
You can't have two guys up there.
You can't have two friendly operatives up there. I think that's good. I've definitely used that before. So
I think this is good for the sweat lords of the world. Literally, I have not played a single game this edition where this even came up for me, but I can see some matchups it would.
Oh, I certainly have. Like if someone's on there, I haven't even gone near it because I couldn't charge, but like now that I can, I think it certainly would have been different.
I guess the teams that I've played, like I never am in a position where I'm like in their base, like trying to get up there. Maybe one time.
Anyway, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely not bad.
Yeah.
And I think needed.
So you also now can no longer guard as a counteract, which I think is good because that was...
It was like cheesy.
That was cheesy. I think like a lot of the changes are just like... they feel more like an errata than a change. Like, obviously this is the way you're meant to do it. Like,
I'm pretty sure also these changes affect like the cheese where you could put your death mark on guard and then teleport it.
Yeah.
While it was on guard, you know?
Yep. And then another thing is that you can't move more than 2 inches even if you're flying. I think like probably like 7 annoying Warp Coven players were trying to like fly their full movement distance because like, well, technically it says pick it up and put it down somewhere else. Go to hell. Clearly you couldn't do more than 2 inches, and now they've just set that more in stone. There's some more stuff, but those are kind of the big headlines for me.
They also did a little update to the universal equipment.
Yep.
So the thing here is that heavy barricades, it used to be they had to be within 2 inches of your drop zone. Now it's 4 inches.
I think this is great.
It's like a small change, but I think it has big ramifications. Yep. I think this is actually going to get taken now. Yes, it's nice to have heavy, but also it's like a big enough barricade that smaller operatives, they can completely like hide behind it.
Yeah, like out of line of sight.
Like a Ratling or a Squig. That's big.
Even like, I think Eldar-sized things hide behind it.
Yeah, so it's just good.
And 4 inches from your deployment zone, I'm pretty sure that there's like some objective markers that you'll be able to control while behind a heavy barricade.
It at least helps you, like, you can get up there and hide behind the barricade and then be close enough to actually get to the point next turn.
Yeah.
So it's like better for moving up your guys.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'll use it more, or just I'll use it at all now.
Yeah.
All
right, teams?
Teams.
All right.
So for some reason, the website is not in any particular order, but we're just going to go in the order that it's displayed for me right now. So the first team is going to be Novitiates.
So the big changes here, like we recently talked about what we thought could be changed. They basically did like very similar things to what we were thinking.
Yeah.
When you do the healing ploy for the healing when you do faith points, that's nerfed. You don't add a number. It's just a D3 now, which makes sense. And also they nerfed the damage reduction. So it only works on normals and it only works on objectives.
I'm really happy with both of these changes. When I first read it, I thought it wasn't enough, and then I've read it a couple more times and thought about it. I still want to like play into them once to kind of see how they feel, but I think it's certainly in the right direction. Yeah, it feels big and it feels good. You know, one thing I was thinking is I might have preferred, instead of D3 wounds healed, it's just the number of faith points.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because this can be like, do you even want to spend CP on it now when it's like I could just heal one and it does nothing?
And I also and I like forcing novitiates to use more of their faith points, because I kind of feel like they have too many, and the number of faith points they have hasn't been addressed here. And it would kind of force you to burn through them a bit more. But I think this is good. I think this is like a great direction. Team's still going to be super powerful, but not unkillable anymore.
To me, this is like pretty close to perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next team.
Next team, Kasserkin. I don't even think we need to say too much about Casterkin. They haven't had too much of a change. The sad thing about this team is if you want to play them, then it's still the best way to play them is to play another kill team and use them.
This isn't even a change to Casterkin. Yeah. It's a change to Inquisition.
Yeah, exactly. So
they needed more.
They need more. Next.
Is this what this video is going to be?
Well, yeah, I think so.
What's next?
Breachers.
Breachers? I'll let you take this one. Yeah. You're the Breacher guy.
Apparently.
Is this enough?
It's not enough, but it is a lot.
It is a lot?
Yeah, it is a lot.
So I saw it and I was like, I don't even know what this is. Because I've never played against Breachers.
Yeah, so Brace for Counterattack has become a little bit more powerful. You know, it now works as long as you're in your zone, and it reduces damage minimum 3. It used to be minimum 4. So it makes it a bit better.
That's big.
And normal and crit damage. And they brought back the Sergeant getting the free attack order, defense order ploy, and you can move it around and stuff. I think it's really good. And I think I still wish they got more. I think hitting on 4s is tough. Like teams that shut down re-rolling are still going to shut down re-rolling. Mm-hmm. But I think they're pretty good. I don't think they're going to be in the basement anymore. I think these changes kind of move them into a different direction of like being a pretty defensive kill team, and that's fun. I think Breachers are at their most toxic when they're just like running and killing stuff.
Grenading guys.
Yeah, and so I think this kind of moves them into a fun territory. I'm looking forward to experimenting with them more. I think we're going to have Breachers on the channel soon with the new rules.
I hope so.
Next is Warp Coven.
Okay, Warp Coven's a big one.
Look at how they've massacred your boys.
I'm happy about it because now I can actually play them without being like rude. So a lot of changes here. This and Legionary are the most changed teams.
Yeah.
And Hyrotech maybe.
A lot of magenta on these pages.
Yeah, okay, so just like changing the way a lot of the psychic powers work. There's like some nerfs, like a lot of things. We're not going to talk about everything.
Yeah, we can't.
They got rid of Seek.
Yeah.
On that one cheese. So now it's Seek Light.
Yeah.
Which is like a huge difference.
Yep.
3-up saves on the rubrics.
That's, I think, the biggest. Well, that's probably not the biggest change, but that's a huge change because 2-up save is absurd.
I feel like the changes to the healing are the biggest.
Yep.
Basically, you can't heal like a million times, right? Yeah. In the same turning point. That's pretty big. Yeah, basically you get 1 heal per turning point.
So it's funny, like I haven't played as Warp Coven, but all of these changes are stuff that when I read it today, I thought like, wait, that wasn't already the way it was. It's like they could already do that.
I think they'll still be good. Yeah, like, they're not bad, but they're not busted.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy playing them more.
Yeah, I think it's kind of bringing them into line with the rest of the game. You know, if I was going to have a criticism of these changes like over the whole data slate, it's that I don't think there was a lot done to bring the bottom of the meta up, but I think there was a lot that seems pretty successfully done to bring like the emergency top of the meta down a bit. Yeah. And this is a great example.
Yeah. Survivability was nerfed. Damage output was nerfed. And also Zangers were nerfed. Once per battle, free mission action in your opponent's half now from the Zanger Warriors.
What was it before?
Like I think once per turning point or once all the time.
Crazy.
Yeah. More than once per battle.
Gellerpox. This is interesting. These changes are cool. Gellerpox isn't a team that I really looked at much this edition. They just weren't flimming a lot of my flams. Seeing this, they look like fun. I think they've kind of reworked how the Techno Curse works, which I think is good. There's some more changes, but it's all like kind of in the weeds and isn't really like the kind of headline overview we're doing right now. But I think they look good. They've really been hurting, and so
do they look playable now?
They look playable, and it's as they're they've got a few months left of being classified, and so I think it's nice that they're getting like a bit of a bump just to enjoy that. Blades of Cain. Blades of Cain barely got changed at all. So I think this is interesting. I think that they are going to be one of the teams that benefits most from this data slate because I think they were positioned to be pretty good already.
It's funny because people talked so much trash.
Yeah.
But then I think recently it was discovered that they're actually not trash.
They're not trash. I think they just like elites aren't their best matchup. Mm-hmm. And now that elites are just kind of like generally brought down a bit.
The worst of the elites at least.
Yeah, exactly. I think that they're going to do pretty well. The only change is that Dire Avengers, their thing has been changed from accurate 1 to balanced. I think this is actually a huge buff because of with any shuriken weapon, they all have rending. And so accurate 1 actually kind of hurt them. Like obviously hitting is always good. But you want to roll and you want to get crits. And so I think balance is just way better. I think they're going to do well. And I think Dire Avengers are going to make a comeback, which is perfect for an 80-year-old model. Inquisition.
This is another team that got changed a lot.
Yeah.
So they kind of have like that cap of piercing now that they had last edition, which is good.
Yeah, it's good. So they can only have they can only have one weapon with piercing 2 right now, and 3 weapons in total that have any piercing rule.
Yeah, some other slight things.
Yeah, the Tome
Skull. Tome Skull got nerfed. The Mystic got nerfed. He can only scry once now.
Yeah. The Tome Skull had a Resurrect, which was kind of odd, and so they've just gotten rid of that. It's going to be a lot less powerful now, but that's good. And then the Armored Bodysuits faction equipment took a bit of a hit as well.
Yeah, seems good.
Yeah, I think, I still think this team's going to be pretty good. They're still going to have 3 piercing weapons, one of which will be probably the Kasrkin Melta.
It's funny because I have never played into this team this edition, and I feel like its issues were only in like the sweatiest of the sweats. Yeah. Because there were 2 ways to play this team. You had like the big brain roster, and you played it like a sweaty guy.
Yeah.
Or you like had whatever you had, and it was not that good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I have the full roster, but I play it with the Sword Sisters almost every time
because they're so much fun. Yeah.
But I think like taking Kasrkin, I think you still take Kasrkin pretty much every time if your main goal is to win as many games as possible. I think they're still the best. I think this team is still going to be pretty strong, but certainly not busted anymore. Next is Hand of the Archon.
I didn't even look at this because I don't know about this team, but you can talk about it.
I did look at it, but I've looked at 35 kill teams today and can't remember what it is. Oh yeah, this was so there was like a bit of a cheesy thing with this team because you if you pass at your first opportunity in the strategic phase, you gain a CP.
People were passing the primary up.
Well, or it's like things like
picking the active
one you have to do, and so it was taking that opportunity away from you. So it was both cheese as the person playing the team and cheese as like negative cheese upon yourself. They just cleaned it. Yeah,
it's good. Not really a balanced thing.
Yeah,
but good.
The like mandatory strategic gambit stuff doesn't interact with that anymore. Okay, next is Scouts, who got some great buffs,
I love this. Yeah. I love Scouts. So 2 big changes. First of which, they got a new scouting option, and they got like one more choice that they can pick for scouting options. So it used to be 5, now you can pick up to 6. And the new one, once per battle strategic gambit, give any one of your guys +1 to their APL for the turning point. Very good.
So good. So good.
Oh, not for the turning point, until the end of their activation. But yeah, really good. I think one of the main issues with this team was that they really struggled with the action economy with 9 bodies. This is going to help. And you don't really have to set it up. I guess there's some limitation of like, okay, this turning point starts. If I lose initiative, I don't want to put it on a guy that's just going to die immediately.
Well, but you don't have to do it until, like, when do you do it?
Strategic gambit.
So it's after you know initiative.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you're if you lose initiative, then you can't put it on a guy that's going to die.
Yeah, sure.
You have to like be a bit safe about it if you want to get value.
Yeah, but I think it's also going to be a fun thing to play against, thinking like, just like, where's it going to go? Who might have 3 APL?
But I think this is an auto take now, Me too, especially since you have an extra pick.
Yeah, it almost feels like instead of saying you have an extra pick and this extra option, it would have been like, should have just been like, in addition to your 5, you also get this one. Yeah. Because that's basically how it's going to work.
But it's nice. Yeah. It's nice to have. The second thing is they upgraded a terrible equipment to now be really good.
A great equipment.
So it's the targeting oculars used to be once per turning point. Now it's twice per turning point, and it used to give saturate. Now it gives lethal 5 and saturate, which is great.
Yep.
Good for the sniper. Good for the heavy bolter, which has piercing crits 1.
Good for. Right? Rolling 5s is substantially easier than rolling 6s, so it's good for everyone.
Like, I don't know if this is enough to make this team A tier, but I definitely think it brings them into playable.
Yeah, I think they're going to be great, and I think. Now they've got tools to deal with some of the more problematic teams.
They didn't need a lot.
No, they didn't.
I think this is just enough. I'm excited to play them soon.
Yeah, really nice subtle hand here.
Yeah.
Next is Deathcore, who got a bunch of changes.
Well, they basically just upgraded their orders mostly, right?
Yeah, but in kind of big ways. This one reminds me of Gellerpox, where it's like, look, you can only play these competitively for like a few more months, so just enjoy it.
Yeah.
The summer of Deathcore.
Balance to ceaseless.
Yeah, they've changed balance to ceaseless.
Straight buff.
Which is obviously way better.
Accurate 1 added to one of their ploys.
Yep. Yes, Siege Warfare just gives them Accurate 1, which is... I can't remember what it was, but obviously Accurate 1 is going to be better. I mean, If accurate 1 is better, then it must have been
Was it just saturate?
Maybe it was just
Because
saturate.
they added the S, so it must have been just saturate.
Did they add the S is magenta?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it definitely was. And then an errata, which makes sense and just brings it into the rest of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if this is enough. They're probably still bad, but it's good.
They're still bad.
Better than nothing.
They're still bad, but they're probably a bit better. Well, of course they're a bit better. Yeah. No, but I mean, I think they're going to win more matchups, and they're going to, Ceaseless is just a huge upgrade this edition over Balanced, right? Like it's going to, a lot of their stuff hits on 4s, and so you need Ceaseless. Yeah. It's good they got it.
Okay, what's next, sir?
I mean, I hate this team, and I wish they didn't get it, but it's good they got it. Next is Chaos Cult.
So this has a really nice, juicy changes. We got to get these guys on the channel. They've never been on the channel.
Dare I say, I think that this might be like a very, very powerful team now.
We'll see. They used to be good. So before they had nerfed it in this edition, that you could only mutate once per turn.
Yeah.
Now it's up to twice.
Yeah.
And what's the other thing?
Torments get accurate 2.
Right, Torments and Mutants.
Yeah.
Get accurate 2 instead of accurate 1 on one of their ploys.
Yeah.
That's a slight upgrade. It's not bad.
A Torment with accurate 2. I think the whole balance of this team is that the things hit on 4 because they're going to be so killy now.
Yeah.
I don't know. The problem with Chaos Cult, and similar to like a few other teams in the edition, it feels like they've been broken one way or the other the whole time, right? It's like just been really hard to balance. I think this might be a bit of an overcorrection. I'm here for it because I love the chaos. I actually meant lowercase c chaos, but also uppercase c.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they're going to be really strong. I think we're going to start seeing them win tournaments. You heard it here.
All right, that's your
Third.
hot take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next, Brood Brothers. This one isn't really much of a change to speak of. They just got a bit of a change that kind of brings it more into line with one of the core rules changes, which is that if something modifies your stats, it does it at the end of an action, not halfway through an attack.
More of an errata.
Yeah, this one feels like more of an errata than a balance change. But this team looks fun. We haven't played them yet, but I really want to. And so, who knows? Though I do think that they've been like pretty low on the win percentages, but whatever. Next is Void Dancers. They got a very small change.
I mean, it's a big change, but short.
Yeah, okay. So the Shadow Seer's mind meld.
Mirror of the Minds.
Yeah, Vulcan mind meld. It is pistol range now.
Yeah, 8 inches instead of infinite, which is huge because it basically was like a silent seek weapon.
Yeah.
Kind of. And now you have to be within 8 inches. So many times I played against Void Dancers, I was just like taking damage from across the board and I couldn't really do anything.
It's almost like in Turning Point 1, you could be like, I'm going to pass and also just do some damage to that guy, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. It's too bad because I liked using it, but
I think
sense.
less feels bad, so it's good.
Okay, the next one is a biggin. It's
Legionaries. So this, well deserved. Lots of changes here.
Lots of changes.
The issues, I think the main issues before, CP generation, Slanesh was too good, the piercing reduction was really good, and all that stuff got nerfed. So quickly, instead, and this change, we forgot to mention it with Warp Coven, but it's on both teams. The ploys they have to reduce piercing.
Yeah.
Now instead of, it just makes it piercing crits.
Not this one. Weapons with piercing 1.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
What about weapons with piercing 2? Doesn't touch them.
Okay, well, but still, I think this is good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is good.
Quicksilver speed is nerfed, just like less options for it, like less. There are less opportunities where it's going to come up now.
Yeah, what I like about it is that you still it's still going to be super powerful to charge and fight, which I think is great. I think that should be a powerful thing, and Quicksilver speed will work on that. It just won't work on like you started the Turning Point and you're engaged with a Mark of Slanesh operative. They're not going to get it then. It's not like, now you can't do anything because it's
on teams that hit on 4s, this was just so bad, and now there's at least like something you can do.
Yeah, totally. And you have to be within 6 inches if you're not Mark of Slanesh, or if you are, sorry.
Yeah, some other smaller changes. The healing on the Chosen is a bit worse now.
Yep.
Anointed got a little bit of a nerf. Siphon Life from the Balefire got a little bit of a nerf.
Yeah, you can only do it once now.
And now, the big thing, Icon Bearer got you like 1 billion CP now before, but now there's this little mini game with the tainted objectives.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen much less often.
Yeah, it'll probably only happen in Turning Point, I think, 3 and 4. Or sorry, 2 and 3. I mean, like, of course, there's going to be times when it doesn't, but I think that's kind of going to be the main. Like, you'll have more CP for the meat of the game, but you're not going to end with 10 anymore.
You can't just sit in your home base, tap loot over and over, and get a million CP.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Fickle Fates actually is interesting. That one's a bit of a side grade. It's like worse for Mark of Zinch, but it's a little bit better for everyone else. So we'll see. They still seem really good. I don't think they seem as totally busted anymore. And I do like that the two things that have been toned down the most, being Implacable and Quicksilver Speed, are the things that make the other team worse. Because that's always a mechanic that I kind of hate.
They also toned down the warrior mark changing cheese.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, but that was always cheese, you know, like...
Yeah, so it's good that it's gone.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, the people I play against haven't been doing that, but, you know...
Yeah. It's good that it's gone, then.
It's good that it's gone. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's... they haven't just, like, totally taken the teeth out of the team, which is good. Felgor. Felgor didn't get much of a change, and I think that they're about to be at the top of the meta because they've been kind of flirting with it, and now everyone else is worse.
Yeah.
I think it was like a really kind of small pedantic change on the Mantle of Darkness, right? It now needs to be visible.
Chaman?
Yeah, the Chaman now needs visibility.
That's actually what it's called.
Is it?
Chaman in Spanish, yeah.
All right.
El Chaman.
Nemesis Claw.
Nemesis Claw. So this is just another very small change. A bit of a nerf. If you were within 6 inches of a Nemesis Claw guy, you couldn't generate extra APL.
Right.
Like you couldn't get comms buffed or whatever. Now it's 3 inches, so it's like less feels bad.
Yeah. So next is the Farstalker kin band, which I think got a great rework.
They had too many instances of accurate. You got accurate 1, accurate 2 going on a lot of the time. It got replaced with balanced and ceaseless, which is good. Yep. They have a lot of instances of rending, lethal 5-up, just a lot of crit-related rules. And if you're not rolling your dice and you're just, auto-retaining normals, you're not getting crits. So this feels much better. Yep. Buff to the team for sure.
Cutthroats. Cutthroats is a huge buff because now it just adds 1 to the attack stat instead of it used to be add 1 to the attack stat when they're fighting. So now it works on retaliating as well.
Yep, and more usability with trophy. Yeah, now smaller, but it's like a quality of life.
Yeah, I mean this one I think is like pretty niche, but it's still good.
It'd be annoying if you buffed a guy and then like he dies to a guard that you didn't think he'd die to, and then you wasted it.
Yeah, true.
So now you can like make sure you're getting it.
Yeah.
When you actually are going to be able to use it.
Hunter Clade,
I'll let you take this.
Sure. So they're better. It's not enough. You still need a math degree to figure out how to play this team. So what they've done is, I'm not even going to explain it. Go read it. But in the last edition, the way it worked, for those who don't know, was that you could, the first turn that you used one of the Doctrina imperatives, you didn't take the deprecation. So as long as you kept switching them around, you were only getting the boosts. Now, you can basically do that once per game, but otherwise you're always taking one of the deprecations. I still don't think that's enough. They've also changed this one ploy where you have to do some damage to yourself and then you get a bit of a buff. Other than the Sicarians, which of course are, a big chunk of the team, but on the like gunners and stuff, like you just can't afford to take D3+1 wounds for the sake of like a reroll or something like that. So I still think this team needs a lot. I want to love this team. I've looked at the rules so many times. I want to bring them back on the channel, but it's just felt like there's just too much. And there's too many downsides to everything. And there are too many roster combinations to afford all the boxes that it's going to take. So yeah, I think it still needs work, but they're getting there. I honestly just put them, if they just went back to, you can avoid the deprecation for the first turning point, you have each imperative, I'd be happy. Obviously the people that have developed this game are aware that that's an option and have chosen not to do it for some reason, and they're hip to like math and stats that I'm not, of course. So I'm sure there's a reason that it's not that, but to me it feels like, God, I wish it was still just that. Yeah. Okay, what's next?
Legionary Chaos Cult, Plague Marines.
Plague Marines, these are good changes. I think these are all pretty good changes. The team is certainly not dead, but they've taken a good power hit. Most of the changes are things that were kind of like, on first reading the team, I just assumed they worked that way anyway, but there was, I guess, room to exploit it, and people did.
Nerfing the healing, I think, is good because this team is already so durable.
Yeah. With
so much health and the damage reduction. If you got, like, a counteract heal off, it just got, like, you don't need that.
Yeah.
So now, it makes sense.
I also like that you can't select the same psychic ranged weapon more than once. That's good because it always felt weird that you could. It felt like it was overlooked that you could, and so I'm glad that you can't do that anymore. And then the big thing for me is the icon bearer. Now you only get contagion for free when you are within your opponent's territory, which is very interesting and is going to really change this team for me. Because in almost every game, you just keep your icon bearer safe, just being a point monkey somewhere, just like racking up contagion. I don't know if I'm going to take the icon bearer every time now. There's still, depending on the mission and depending on the map, of course, it's like there just aren't that many options of what to take on this team.
Yeah.
But I think a warrior is a very good option now over an icon bearer in a lot of matchups.
Or whatever you were dropping.
Yeah, heavy gunner. I think heavy gunner and icon bearer and warrior are now kind of in the like maybe take range.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a good team, and what I like is that it's going to make it more experimental and more different every time you play.
Okay, you want to talk Hyrotech?
No, let's go through the last two and then go to Hyrotech because there's too much.
So Aquilons, they really just got one main change. Hot Drop gives you essentially Relentless when you come out of the sky, and if you whiff your shot that turn, you can reroll everything. This just makes it so it's actually usable in Turning Point 3 and 4 of the game.
Right.
If you're on a vantage or something and you come down from the vantage and then shoot, you can use Hot Drop as well. Good. It's a very minor buff, but I think there's some use cases where it'll be good.
Not having access to your best firefight play for half the game felt like a problem.
Yeah.
So
seems good. What's the other one that we have to talk about? Oh, Vespids.
Vespids. I love these changes.
They're slight.
They're slight, but I think they're very effective, and I love this team, and God damn it, I'm gonna bring them back and start playing them more. So communion points. Now you don't lose at the end of a turn. You're probably not going to use many in Turning Point 1, so it means you're probably going to have like 5 or 6 going into Turning Point 2, which is good. I never really felt like I was running out of communion points, but there's always the chance to roll pretty poorly and then just be stuck. And so I'm glad that it lets you build up a bit of a bank and kind of future-proof yourself for the end of the game. I think that's good. And then they got Lethal 5 from the drone's ability, which is very good. I mean, now there's like a situation where you could have accurate 2, devastating 2, balanced, lethal 5. That's awesome.
And they can open doors now.
And they can open doors without being told to by their boss, which is good. Because that's just bringing it in line with all the other stuff that struggles with mission actions that can open doors. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, big one.
The Hyrotech? Yeah, okay. So we talked a lot on this channel about how we had issues with Hyrotech. I think these are all good changes.
I agree.
There's been a lot of chatter this morning. I've seen people saying this team's dead now.
Good.
And it's too much. I don't think it's too much at all. So when stuff resurrects now, it's just 1 HP gang.
Yeah.
And then it does the living metal on top of that. But it makes the reanimated plasma site way worse, and it makes all your reanimation way worse, which is good. I think it was too good. So now it's worse.
Yeah.
Than too good. Just some clarification with how Magnify works. Not really a balance change. They nerfed the nanomine less range.
Yep.
Actually, is that a buff?
No. It used to 6.
Was it 6 before? Okay. They nerfed the nanomine less range on that. The Psychomancer, big nerfs here.
Huge nerfs, yeah.
So smaller aura range, and also instead of just you can't retain crits at all, now it's just natural crits can still be retained.
Yeah. But this game has so much, are they called unnatural crits? But like there's so much lethal 5, rending, severe, like there's a lot.
It still poops on Hearthkin.
Yep.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah.
The healing from the Technomancer got nerfed down to 2d3, which it was the only 3d3 heal in the game, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So, makes sense. I don't know why it was more than that before.
Well, it's funny because, I think I was watching one of the other videos talking about the same thing today. I think it was Glass. And he was saying, like, well, the Technomancer, it's like, he's supposed to be, like, a really powerful healer. So it made sense for him to be, like, healing people more than other medics in the game.
They're already healing passively,
That's the thing,
too.
Is that they always heal constantly.
Yeah.
And so 3d3, it's like, anything is basically going to be full health after being healed 3d3 plus living metal and everything else. So yeah, I like this.
Okay, then Tesla Weave. This is pretty huge into certain matchups. It got buffed to D3 plus 1.
Yep.
However, it's once per turning point. So that's huge.
Great.
There were so many times when you would just like You know, you think D3 damage isn't that much, but imagine you're playing blooded.
Yeah.
It just like it would add up so much. Or
Totally.
like, I think this is a good change.
Yeah.
For an equipment, it did too much.
I agree, and I think you still take it
in some matchups. Yeah. If you don't think you're gonna get charged, you don't take it.
Don't take it into Pathfinders, but I my problem with higher tech, and I want to preface this by saying I think these are good changes. I think that they've addressed the worst elements of this team. But my problem with higher tech is that I think the very design of it is extraordinarily unfun. What this team does is it generates its own power by removing power from its opponent, as opposed to other good teams which generate power by making themselves more powerful. And so I just think that like this has always been an unfun team to play against, regardless of how powerful it is, because it just makes your stuff so much worse. And yeah, they've like addressed some of it, like the Nightmare Shroud and the Nanomines makes your stuff less worse, but it's like the core mechanic of this team is making other teams less fun to play, and I'm always going to hate that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you can do to change that. Maybe in Kill Team 27, it'll be different.
Yeah. All right, well, that's every team they've got to change. There's lots of teams that weren't touched. But frankly, like, I'm okay with this because I think, you know, it's easy to look at the lower tier teams and say they didn't get enough done.
Yeah.
Or some teams didn't get touched when they should have. However, you have to remember that, like, the ceiling of the good stuff has come down.
I am glad that it finally happened. You know, there's still some stuff that I think might be a bit problematic, but we'll see. You know, I think I understand why game designers typically do like want to change as little as possible, you know, and I think that there's a lot of merit to that. I love the chaos, and I love when the meta gets totally turned on its head, and so I'm always rooting for more changes. But I think this is good. I think this represents like a great reinvestment of you know, thought into the game. I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out and seeing, you know, what gets really strong and what people are taking.
I think we're back. Kill Team's back.
Kill Team's back.
Also, we got 1 HP gangsters and mountain goats.
Yep. Yeah, thanks so much for all your support. We're going to keep doing this. Now we have so many more rules to dig into and matchups to try. There's been some teams that we've been avoiding bringing on the channel, like on Warp Coven and Breachers, because they've been lame as hell. And now they're not anymore. So tons of new stuff to do. So we better get to it.
See ya.
See you next time.